Just over a week ago, John and I were having a conversation for the virtual Warley show. It's incredible that 8 days later I hear the sad news that John has passed away. He will be sorely missed by the Warley Club and certainly by me every year at the NEC. John was one of those enthusiastic modellers that never seemed to stop for anything. Whether he was on his little scooter flying around the NEC or whether he was bringing the mayor on a Saturday. John, we will miss you. We're going to play this next interview that was John's last with me for Warley, and we will all remember him. Our heartfelt thoughts go out to his family. He will be sadly missed, and the club will miss him as much as his family. John, we loved you.
Friends, so I'm club member John Seward and another club member, Pete Waterman. Gents, over to you.
Hello, Pete.
How are you, John?
Not bad, not bad. And you?
Well, I'm missing not going to Warley this year.
Well, yeah, that's the same for all of us, I'm afraid.
Yep.
Talking of which, you've been going to Warley a hell of a long time, longer than I have. I do about the last half a dozen shows at the Harry Mitchell Centre and then on to the NEC. It was that point at the NEC when I first met you. So Paul's asked me if I talk to you about some of the early days that you had at Warley, particularly when you started off bringing, was it M&L castings, was it?
Yeah, models,
yeah. Which you ran with a guy called
Ron Cadman.
That's the one.
Ron Cadman. Unfortunately, both Ron and Barry Jones and Modellers Will, they're both gone now. But
yeah,
so
Barry was a gentleman.
Yeah, so I've survived.
Yeah.
I mean, those early days, we're talking about when kits were primitive.
Yes.
They're nothing like today. I mean, the only decent kits at that time, without a doubt, were the Wills kits. The Wills kits were exceptionally good.
Yeah.
But most of the rest of the stuff was pretty poor. I mean, pretty basic. And I was building a layout based on accent.
Yeah.
Yes. In mixed gauge in 1890, and I just couldn't get what I wanted. And so we decided to form this company, Models and Leisure. And I remember Ron Cadman said to me one day, "There's a show in the West Midlands at Warley," and I booked us a stand there, which was in the Harry Mitchell Centre. We'd never done a show, by the way, before. It was the first show we'd ever done. And so we weren't quite ready for the demand. So we got, we'd made our own kits. And I have to say, they were superb kits. They were the first kits with etched parts in. And we had a manor out, and we just introduced a county. And I remember we went and set up at the Harry Mitchell Centre on a Friday night, if you remember. In those days, they did Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And I met Paul for the first time, and to be honest, we were overwhelmed by the response to the kits. And what I can remember is driving back to Coventry on the Friday night and sitting at Ron's till 3 a.m. casting kits, so we got something to sell on the Saturday and the Sunday. You know, it was. I remember on the Monday, I was absolutely crackered. You know, and it was like. It really was an eye-opener. It was everybody was friendly, but it was a revelation really for us.
Didn't you have some coach kits as well?
I bought them later, John. I did a deal with a guy called Mike. He got an M13 big 70-foot Great Western parcels van, and I took him on. And what's interesting in that period, within 12 months, we'd taken on etched coach kits, which were superb. Mike Cooper was the guy that designed them. He was
Yeah.
in the army at the time, and we did some dreadnought coaches. And we also came up with an idea, which is funny now, and everybody sort of talks about it. But we were the first, Ron Cabin was the first to come up with the idea, because just at the time we were starting, models started to become a little better, more
Yeah.
detailed,
Yeah.
and better quality. And you got the main line, and you had the Airfix, and even Lima were coming out with you know, new loco. And Lima came out with a superb, for the time, Western, the Class 52 Western.
Yeah.
It was superb, and everybody wanted them. And Ron Cadman came up with an idea of super detailing it. So we did these kits
Uh-huh.
that had jewels in them. Actually, the lamps were little red jewels and white jewels for the white lamps. And we got name plates, and you could stick extra bits like windscreen wipers on. And I'll never forget that year at Warley. I think we called them, forget what we called them now. I think we didn't call them super kits, but we called them, I think we called them super detailing kits. But again, the demand was fantastic. Because the one thing we had, John, we had a guy that worked for us part-time, but he was our pattern maker, Rod, who fortunately only just passed away. Rod was a superb pattern maker.
Mm.
So compared with what a lot of people were doing at that time, our patterns for the casting were sensational. I mean, they were up to Beeston standards.
Yes.
And we set up our own casting factory, because Ron was chief production engineer at Lucas Batteries. So he was really used to working with white metal. So we'd done this ourselves because we wanted the quality. And once we got into going to Warley, we made friends. We made lots of friends. Yeah. I mean, I seem to spend more time in Smethwick than I did in Coventry, because I certainly had more friends around there at that time. It was very much, it's interesting looking back how focused the model railway industry was in that late 60s, early 70s, around Bearwood Models. It really was.
Bearwood Models was a superb establishment.
Oh, they were, without a doubt, the finest company outside of King's Cross and Reading Eames. And, Bob Lamb and old Carpy. I mean, they were great. And they had a shop at Constitution Hill for a while.
That's right. Yeah.
Brilliant. One year, because it was like a community, Paul said, would I take a layout to Warley?
Mm.
And I had, this idea of building Acton in 1890 as the mixed gauge. And I think I said to Paul, it was going to be an end-to-end. And I'd never built a layout like that before. I mean, I built the layout on the bath, on a 6-foot board by 4 foot, but I've never built anything sort of 20 feet long. And as I was just, I'd moved into a new cottage in the country, and Barry Jones was a builder, and Barry Jones was knocking it down for me, and he was extending it. So I had this big lounge that was empty where he was building. So I thought, I'll build this layout in this space. Right? It was about, as I say, it's about 18 feet scenic wise in 4 mil. EM it was actually. And I took to it like a duck to water.
Yeah.
Never thought about, I didn't look at the size of this thing and think, this is a daunting task. Until Paul said to me, can you come over on the Friday morning and set up? And I was at #1 with Musical Youth that week with Pastor Duchy. And I'd been on doing gigs with them. So I'd got a big transit, a 6-wheel transit. So I thought, well, this is no problem. The lads are not working this weekend. I'll chuck the layout in the back of this in the back of this van, and I'll go off to Warley. What I didn't realise, I really needed 16 labourers to get it in the back of the van and to put it up. I mean, this was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever built in my life. it weighed, well, it must have weighed 300 weight.
Mm.
And it was on, and I built it on legs, on trestle legs,
Yeah.
which was, you know, of course, I didn't know any different, if you get what I mean. And Brian Caldicott, who worked at Bob's Models on the Coventry Road there,
Yeah.
he come and helped me with all the scenery. The scenery was fantastic. And I got there and put it up. Well, what a disaster. I mean, what you never do is go to an exhibition with your first layout and expect it to run. I mean, but more importantly, what happened was the legs kept opening a bit by bit as the day went on. And by about 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, this layout was at this angle. It was like, it had a camera and everything kept falling off. Well, we couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny, you know. It was just like, Paul said to me, "You won't do that again." I went, "No, I won't do that again." But we did. I mean, I bought the field at the back of this cottage, and I bought a cow shed, and I put this layout ultimately was going to go in this, you see. So I just took part of it to Warley to have some fun, really, because, you know, Paul was looking for layouts at the time.
Yeah.
But as I said, it was about camaraderie. Everybody knew each other, and everybody was willing to help. There were guys in the club that had amazing photographic collections. I remember, I can't remember the guy's name, he lived in Smethwick. He had the most amazing photo collection I've ever seen. I mean, he must have had 10,000 photographs. This is before Carpy was selling photographs.
Yeah.
And whatever engine you mentioned, he would pretty well come up with a photograph.
Copy for you.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I still think that we still have that same sort of spirit in the club, even though we've now moved up and we're doing the show at the NEC. I think we still have that same ethos.
Oh, I think you do. I think you do. What's missing now, because it is a different time and we are different. I don't think the young lads have as much fun as we used to have.
Probably not.
No, we used
to get a bit intense about it.
Yes, they do. I mean, and we used to rib people. I mean, we used to play tricks.
Yeah.
You'd never play tricks now the way we used to play tricks. I mean, because of the price of the models, you know, that people are very precious about them now. But I remember Roger Carpenter said to me one night, we were setting up on the Friday night at the Harry Mitchell Centre, and Peter Sylvester had built a beautiful rake of Great Western cattle wagons. There was about 14 of these, and he got them on this like diorama, and they were, you know, pieces works fantastic. And he got them on this bench. And do you remember Roy Miller? Roy was still alive then. And Roy was the most wonderful human being. His knowledge of railways was incredible, but he really was Mr. Bean. I mean, anything he touched fell apart instantly. I mean, he could chapter and verse, he could tell you everything. But the minute he put his hand to something, it would literally fall apart. And he was one of those wonderful human beings that bumbled his way through life. Although he was a senior director up at British Steel. He turned round and he knocked the buffer off the end of this diorama. And Roger and I stood there, and all these wagons went bunk, 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 bunk off the end. And I remember me and Carpy with plastic glue trying to get them together so Peter Sylvester never didn't know they'd fallen off the end. And all the next day, everybody's going, "Shall we tell Pete?" No. And everybody knew the secret. And every time Pete Sylvester went past his wagons, everybody just laughed. You know, and that was the fun, you know. And I don't think you get that now.
Getting on to more modern times, the NEC and with Leamington Spa, how much of your experience with Acton and M&L and things like that went into the planning of Leamington? Did it have any bearing, or is it a totally new concept?
It was crucial. It was
Yeah.
absolutely crucial because, again, going to the show, I've only missed one. I've only ever missed one at Warley, at the NEC. It was the very first.
Yeah,
I've been going to.
that was Kylie.
Yeah, yeah. I was in Australia. I mean, I've been coming to the shows for 40 years this year.
Yeah.
So you cannot come to the NEC without getting impressed by some of the layouts.
Mm.
They are inspiring. So you get to look at this and you get to think, I would have done that different. He's done the same mistake as I made on Acton.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it like that. I wouldn't. And there comes a point, John, where you've got to say to yourself, you've got to shut up or put up, because you can't keep criticising. You've literally got to do it. You really have.
You can't be a ribbit counter.
No, you've got to get on and do it. And so I decided that in 2003, I think it was, I'd just done Pop Idol, and I was doing a railway series for Channel 5. And at the end, I must stand on Leamington Spa station, which is where I started my spotting.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going from here now, and I'm going to do something I should have done a long time ago. I'm going to go and build a model of Leamington Spa. And that was that's what inspired me.
A brave decision.
Yeah, well, I said yes, it was a brave decision. In fact, I was probably drunk. I've often thought I must have had too many whiskies. Instantly, I knew it had to be Leamington Spa because it's a cross-country station. It's got lots of aspects, but I instantly knew I couldn't make it a portable layout.
No.
To do what I wanted to do, it had to be a layout that was fixed.
Yeah.
And so what I decided to do was do the opposite, do Warley here. So, and the clubs, you know, it's visited here many times.
Oh God, I don't know how many times I've been up there. Hell of a lot.
So what we did, I said we build it and then we'll open it to all other clubs to come and visit us. And that would be our sort of, instead of it taking it to Warley, we bring Warley to us.
Yeah. Excellent. Presumably, you formed JT, etc. To provide
GRLT,
to provide you with the wherewithal for stock and so on.
Well, again, John, you know, it's really interesting this because we're talking about 2002, 2003, which is only 18, 19 years ago.
It's not long, is it really?
No.
Not when you're our age, anyway.
No, but O-Gauge was nothing like it is now.
No.
I mean, light years away. I mean, you know, there were no ready-to-run stuff. And the kits that were available, other than the etch kits, were really not worth talking about.
No.
The DJH kits were good. The etch kits, Martin Finney and Malcolm Mitchell, were superb, but they took some building. So I took the decision. Well, I took the decision that I also wanted diesels on the layout, which at the time was nobody did a diesel kit. So I decided to put some money in and set up a factory that made, because I looked at the 4 mil stuff that Batman and Hornby were doing and went, why can't we do the same quality in 7 mil? Because this is superb quality. I mean, if we'd have been buying 4 mil models back in the 60s and 70s, like you can get now, I mean, you'd have never done any scratch building at all, because everything is absolutely brilliant. I mean, the Hornby product now is superb. We didn't have that luxury.
As my eyes and my hands have aged, I have to admit I've started buying ready-to-run O-Gauge.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, and the prices of it are compatible with kits as well. Well,
it's not snobbish, John. It really isn't. We've got very few ready-to-run stuff on the layout because it's a modeller's layout. That's what we set out to do. Yes, there are probably models I could put on the layout now which are superb. You know, like the Lee Marsh stuff and stuff like that. But at £3,800 and £4,000 a time, do you know what? I'm not going there, John. That's,
No, I don't blame
you know,
you.
as lovely as they are, and I have,
Yeah.
you know, Lee used to work for me, so I know Lee, and I have a few of his models. But if you know, I've got 5 Jubilees of Lee Marsh. Well, you know, that if you went to apply 5 Jubilees, it's like £25,000.
A lot of money.
Yeah, well, it's too much money, John.
Mm.
It's too much money.
Mm.
As beautiful
I
as
mean,
they are.
don't get me wrong. I haven't sort of increased my stud with ready to run stuff. I mean, I've done the hard miles. I've built 40 odd locos and 300 wagons and
Yeah.
40, 50 coaches. But the quality that we're getting now is what I'm getting to.
Yeah. Oh,
Taking
no,
up your
John.
point is so
Oh,
good.
John, yeah. If I was starting now, I would do that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even bother. You know, I'd be a lot wealthier as well.
That's
but
true.
But I still love. During lockdown, I've been building myself some new kits. I've made some new kits for myself.
Yeah.
Which I'm doing some unusual wagons that nobody else does.
These are the ones that you've shown on the
Yes.
video that you've done.
Yes, yeah, because I'm a wagon fanatic. I mean,
Yeah,
coaches and wagons, I love. I mean, I've built, there's 1,700 wagons on here, as you know, and I built pretty well at most of them myself. And that's what, you know, I get a kick from. And, you know, at the minute, John, I have to say, I'm building a massive 4-mill layout for Chester Cathedral, which is a little different, going back and building in 4-mill. And that is easy to do for me now, because you can go and get a Hornby loco, and I can have you know, this layout will have 30 trains on it, full trains. It's 65 feet long. And you can go and buy them. You know,
Yes,
the
you
cathedral, I can say to the cathedral, you want 4 Avanti, 4 of this, 4 of that, 4. They can go to Hornby and get them. I haven't got to sit there and, you know, scratch build them and then paint them and then livery them and then super detail them. So all you're doing is scenic modelling and baseboard building and building trains quickly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Right. Having touched on your video, the one that you've done yourself, I have to say I've enjoyed that as much as I've enjoyed your super duper highly production videos that you bring to the NEC. It's got a personal touch about it that you're obviously you can't put that personal touch in if it's being produced. But I think it's a super video, and I hope people will enjoy it for what it is.
Well, you know, John, I look forward to that weekend in November where I can stand on that stand.
I know you do.
and talk to people about it. And I tried to do that in this video, as if I was at the NEC.
Yeah.
Instead of like showing it like I would in a professional video, show it over the shoulder and show it as if I was standing with the people too. And that's what I tried to do.
Yeah, it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. In fact, just to make sure I enjoyed it, I watched it again this morning before before we started.
A quick story about Warley, right? Keep this, Andy, because it's a true story. Every show, every year, we had a customer who used to come with a box. Always came with a box. And everybody said, what's he got in the box? And nobody dared ask this guy what he got in the box, you see. Every year, he was at Warley with this box. So one of the lads said to me, go on, Pete, you're not frightened. Ask him what he's got in the box, you see. So I said to him, excuse me, I said, I see you every year at Warley. You're always carrying that box. What have you got in the box? Oh, he said, I've got a loco in the box. Oh, have you? I said, he said, yeah. I said, but why do you beat? He said, well, I put the loco in the competition. As you know, there's no competition at Warley, right? I said to him, but there's no competition. He said, My wife doesn't know that. So every year I come second and win a loco kit. You see? So I said, as quick as lightning, well, if you won, you could get 2 loco kits. He said, if I won, I'd never be allowed to come again. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. And I did, and it's funny, you know, John, it's the one time when a lot of men bring their wives and children particularly. And I did a program for Radio 4 this week with Dave from the Hairy Bikers, you know, the chef.
Oh, yes, yes.
And he said he has to smuggle his railway stuff in so his wife doesn't see what he's buying. I've always thought we missed a trick at Warley. We should have had a darkened room with a curtain where men could slip in, buy their bits and slip out and put it in the car
the other side.
while their wife was in the kitchen, you know, was down the cafe.
Well, Pete, thanks very much for your time. I think Andy will be editing this tape that we've done now to go in with your video or alongside it. And I hope I see you next year, mate.
Well, John, stay safe.
And
Merry
you.
Christmas and a Happy New Year to you.
And to you.
And I look forward to seeing everybody back at Warley next year.
Yep.
Thanks, John.
Thanks to both of you for your time, and thanks for
Pleasure.
a great chat